Good evening, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you are. So, today I'm looking at a couple of Bibles here. The NASB is one of my favorite translations. I've been using the NASB for 15 years, and I have been rebinding Bibles for 12 years. I've become increasingly more and more aware of massive quality shifts over the years. Specifically in the last 5 to 10 years, there's been in my opinion, and I do believe I can support it, a decline in the quality of Bibles being produced and published. So what I'm looking at right here are two NASBs that this bottom one here was published in 1971. This is specifically a first edition Foundation Press side column reference NASB. This top one here is a 1973 side column reference Bible, published, however, by Creation House. A side column reference NASB is named such because obviously the references are on the side, and then you have a single column of text lateral to the references. So one thing that I'm going to point out real quick is that in these particular publications, even though there's two different publishers, pagination is identical. A little thing to note here is that neither of these two were printed with ribbons, which for some reason I just thought was interesting. So with regards to the quality of these two Bibles, obviously these are from the 70s and held up quite well. The only real things that are extremely noticeable is some scratches and scuffs on the gold gilding on the sides. The reason why more attention is being brought to these older side column reference NASBs is due to the fact that they are printed on a thicker paper, or a thicker what's called GSM. The reason why I want to compare these is because I have finally obtained what is becoming an extremely coveted Bible, the 1999 NASB by Foundation Publications, due to the fact that it is printed on what is called French milled paper. So I think for particular viewers this may be interesting, just because one of the reasons why a thicker paper is desirable is because you have what's called less ghosting, or the opposite side letters showing through. So as you can see the print on the opposite side. With that said, when one takes a look at, for example, this 1999 compared to the 1971, there is more ghosting on the 1971. However, I would almost venture to say that it's not an overly big deal. And then if you compare it to the 1973 Creation House, the Creation House actually has less ghosting than the 71, yet still slightly more than the 1999 side column reference Bible. It's harder to see in the video, but the 71 actually has a creamier color than the 1999 or the 1973. When comparing all three, I actually think that the 73 Creation House is actually fairly comparable to the 1999. I also have this particular NASB, which I rebound 10 years ago. This is a Zondervan wide margin Bible. So I'm going to open up to, I'm comparing and contrasting 1 Kings 13 and 14. The paper on this particular wide margin is actually quite impressive. If you notice that the ghosting is almost as comparable, still slightly more, but I would say that this particular edition is almost as good as the 1973. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because this here is the 1995 updated NASB. So if anybody's looking for something with good thick paper that has less ghosting, this would also be a good option. Instead of when comparing, for example, these 4 NASBs with something like this ultra-thin reference Bible. This particular edition has significant ghosting. It makes it almost unbearable to read for somebody like me. So when you take a look, but at the same time, I'm fairly critical of thin line Bibles. This one's also Foundation publication. Anyways, I hope this is beneficial for people who are looking for high quality NASBs to read. I think the 1973 is actually a fantastic option, and it's the reason I bring that up is because it is easier to find. All right, have a good day. Bye.